It's party time!
Viva Pinata, filled with fun.
Filled with fun!
Don't be enjoying them. Viva Pinata, filled with fun.
Filled with fun!
Viva Pinata, don't be enjoying them.
Carl and Damon here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. And it is, of course, they made what into a TV series? Viva Pinata, episode 13. The Wraisins of Wrath, but raisins with a W.
Yeah.
And Pinata Island Idol. 2 segments as always. It aired on February 17th, 2007. And excitingly, kind of, maybe, it's the halfway point of season 1. So we're getting there.
Yeah,
We're getting there.
yeah.
Segment 1, The Wraisins of Wrath. It's a nice day on Pinata Island, as per usual. And Fergie and Polly are picking berries. However, Fergie keeps eating them, much to Paulie's annoyance. However, he sees what he thinks are raisins and decides to use them to cook a pie. Yeah, this is. I was like, wait, that's not what I think is
That's
it?
what I thought. I thought, because especially the two wrestlers, are the two like.
Yeah, because
they even drop a hint like, is that shit?
Well, we do see a pair of pinatas nearby with newspapers suggesting that the raisins are actually poo.
I know. I mean, I did have a little chuckle at that.
Yeah,
honestly,
well, I was like, okay, all right. So Polly and Fergie set about cooking pies. The former is a pro and the latter is an amateur. Hijinks in the kitchen, haha, with Fergie, of course.
Yeah.
Fergie, I've realised now, is our star.
He is
He's the
amazing,
star of
that
this
one,
show.
yeah,
He
yeah.
really is. But I wasn't like, oh God, at least he's not crying about parties. At least it's something different. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Later, Paulie serves raisin pies to all the other pinatas, much to their excitement. However, it seems to have an effect on them all. They start to act in the opposite of their usual behaviour. So, like, for example, Tina and Teddy start agreeing with each other instead of arguing, and even Ella's memory becomes really good. How interesting. Indeed. Fergie starts to panic when he sees Langston coming along. We're back to that stuff. So he tries to run. But Franklin ate their pies. He tries to eat and then run, but Franklin ate all their pies. He then tries to blame the others who storm off. Now that's a subtle little hint there, because you forget, and I guess this is consistency, is Franklin's thing is he's, can't lie.
Yep.
He's super, super honest.
Yes, he is.
So the fact he's lying here is like, okay. Paulie realises that something is up, as obviously Franklin continues to tell more lies and then leaves. Obviously he's normally really honest. Seeing that, Paulie and Fergie set out to find out what is going on. And as they leave, Les arrives and sees a pie. Fergie and Paulie find Ella and talk to her about what is going on. She remembers everything. Her memory is really, really good. But that becomes a problem as she now remembers grudges. And starts bringing up old grudges. So I like stuff like this.
I mean, we said it before. She is one of the best characters in this.
Oh, Ella, Ella is
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
one of the funnier ones. They then run into Franklin, who's been in a stealing spree and is continuing to lie. Paulie now realises that everyone is acting the opposite, and along comes a well-spoken Les to confirm the truth about the pies. I thought that was weird. So it's like the pie makes everyone behave in the opposite way they normally do.
Yeah.
But with Les, it makes him able to speak normally.
Yeah, but like a smart,
Yeah.
like a smart Albert
But
Einstein. So.
we get the impression that Les is smart all the time,
Yep.
but they can't understand what he says
So
because
it
he
should have been
speaks
dumb,
no
really. It
squeaks.
should have been speaking a bit dumb, really.
Yeah, don't really get it. But even still, we have this running joke where Les comes up with the clear idea and they pretend they don't understand him, and Paulie tries to take credit for coming up with the answer. And then you get Les's face, the usual
Bullying,
thing.
man.
Yeah, he is a little bit bullied, yeah. Back at home, Fergie and Paulie try to work out how they can fix it. Les suggests everyone eats another pie to change back, which Fergie now takes credit for coming up with.
Again.
I don't mind it.
It's
I cannot complain about consistency.
yeah.
Later, the pies are made, but no one wants to eat it now. And I thought, I actually didn't get that at first, but then it's explained pretty well. Before they loved it.
Yeah.
Now they don't. It's the opposite behaviour.
Yeah.
They really wanted the pies before, now they really don't. Instead, they want the stuff they would normally hate. Paulie agrees to give it to him after they eat the pies. Ella is angry though and slams her foot down, causing a pie to land in Franklin's face. He then throws one back and we get a bit of a food fight. But this actually works out in everyone's favour, because basically as they're having this food fight, bits of pie and stuff are falling into people's mouths,
Yep.
changing them back. But Fergie ends up wanting a bit too, which is weird. He knows the problem. He's just like, oh, I want some now and stuff like that.
Yep.
And he ends up eating a bit, and guess what his opposite behaviour is?
Of course.
He now really wants to go to a party.
That was my. I was enjoying this episode until this point here.
Because it brought back party stuff.
Because I knew it was happening.
Yeah.
I called it before. I was like, they're doing this again. They're going to do this. You're going to have him being chased to a party or that.
Yeah, it ends with Paulie trying to stop him as he heads off to Pinata Central. I don't want to sound like a broken record on this, but we do both find it frustrating that their predominant thing, it's becoming a crystal coconut, Fergie in a party.
Every episode.
It doesn't have to revolve around that in some way or another. I agree. I find it frustrating. Segment 2 then. Pinata Island Idol. It's night time and the grand dance hall is bouncing. Literally bouncing as everyone parties. They party so hard it collapses. The next day they survey the damage and discover that it will cost 10,000 chocolate coins to rebuild it. Love stuff like this.
Yes.
It's just like a clever remembrance for the game, you know? For the game. Paulie suggests they do a talent show to raise the money. This makes the news, apparently, and Professor Pester decides to get in the action and get the coins. Auditions are happening, hosted by Hudson, and there's a wacky group of different pinata talents. You kind of see how this episode's going.
Yeah.
Hudson is particularly impressed by the worms' dancing abilities. Professor Pester arrives though and pretends to be a magician. A bad one. He keeps coming back basically, trying new ones. He's a gymnast, he's a ventriloquist, and each time he's rejected by a Hudson. I never understand this, right? Do they know that's Pester? They have to, right?
They have to, yeah.
It can't be he's in a disguise because he looks exactly like Pester.
They must know.
And they're just playing along, right?
Yeah.
Right? Has to be. It is cool though, I thought here, to see Chortles and Cecil back.
Yes.
They're in a little segment where Chortles is making Cecil laugh with his crap jokes, which goes back to the very first segment of the very first show. So again, loving a bit of consistency.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Angry at his lair, Pester realises, oh, I'm going to steal the coins. Why am I going to do so much effort? Don't collect them and I'll just steal them. But he offends himself because he's basically like, and I do like stuff like this, he's like, I'm not usual villain, I'm not going to laugh maniacally or anything like that, and he ends up doing it, and then offends himself by being that person. Yeah. That's good shit. We should repeat here, for all our criticisms of the sort of throwaway nature of this show, because that's the criticism. Voice acting's good.
Yeah.
They do it, they've got some clever comedic touches that won't necessarily make you laugh, but will go, oh, alright, cool.
Yeah, definitely,
you know? It's time for the talent show, as everyone has gathered and Hudson is introducing the event. The idea being that if the audience sees something they like, they'll throw coins into a basket. A basket that Professor Pester and his minions are attempting to dig under. So they're planning to go underneath it, dig a hole, and bring it down. It's very Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
Paulie is doing a one pinata Romeo and Juliet performance. Okay.
Yeah.
Professor Pester gets the position wrong though and ends up dropping Ella into the pit. Do laugh.
I did this. The crap. This is
a really bad view when she falls down. They push her back up as Franklin shows off some skateboarding skills, and Teddy and Tina are part of a soaring in half trick, and the coins are beginning to come in now. Hudson then introduces Les, who juggles, and Professor Pester basically keeps dropping pinatas down by accidentally. That's the running gag here.
Yeah.
You know, part of me is like, why don't they care? Like, they get them pushed back up, they just carry on. Like, none of them are going, what the hell has happened there? Hudson starts to get annoyed about the goal not being reached. They're not getting enough coins. Finally, Professor Pester's minion dig a hole but end up on the stage. And shocked by, the ruffians are like, oh, what do we do? They end up putting on a show and do a dance number, basically, on stage. And this goes down such a treat, the coins start to pour in. Meanwhile, Professor Pester now has somehow got lost in a tunnel and basically ends up activating a gas line, which is down there. He leans on it and then blows himself up. It's very random.
It is random, but
it is entertaining.
Yeah.
This sets the crowd off even more as it seems like fireworks and stuff like that. And the goal of 10,000 chocolate coins is reached. And the episode ends with Professor Pester coming crashing back down and wrecking the stage, and then realising they're going to have to build a new stage now as well. Okay, this is a it's going to be a bake sale. Bake sale is what they're planning afterwards. Which I thought was is that a hint towards what happened in the first segment?
Yeah.
Probably not, but I just thought it maybe was interesting that it did that. This is half and half for me. Wraisins of Wrath is a bit crap.
Yep.
And it doesn't really go anywhere. And I feel like there could have been more about the idea of having different personality traits, but it's kind of just brushed over to focus on Fergie and Paulie more than anything else. Than anything else. Whereas I think Pinata Island Idol is a lot more fun and a lot more energetic.
And it's got to be the first episode where you haven't no party stuff.
True.
No party
no mention of it at all.
Yeah, and that made it more enjoyable.
Yeah, it felt different. Even though I would say, the whole like different people act and stuff like that is not particularly inspired stuff.
But I find the episodes with Professor Pesto are more enjoyable.
Yeah, I like Pesto. You say Pesto? Pesto. Not pesto. He's not freaking spice. Yeah. He's pesto. Pesto. Absolutely. It's really interesting. What I mention right now is, for concentration when I'm working sometimes here at home, I will put on long plays of games. So a game's playing in the background and I'm just listening to the sounds of it. I've been watching it and doing a Viva Pinata long play, letting someone play it while I sort of focus on typing and stuff. I'd forgotten that basically the voices are pretty much the ones from the game. Incredible. Yeah, Pesta came on and started speaking and I was like, holy shit.
Really?
Yeah, and in Party Animals, which is the game which most of these characters are based off the characters from Party Animals, not the show. So they're actually named there. Fergie, Ella, all of that. Win achievements as well, because I was looking at the achievements for our achievement tier list. And it's like, win a waste with Fergie. And I was like, oh wow. Yeah, okay, incredible that. Yeah, there you go. So mixed bag in this one for me.
Yeah.
Episode 13, The Wraisins of Wrath and Pinata Island Idol. Got any thoughts on this one? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?